Good morning. It's Wednesday again and time for our weekly devotion. As Josh mentioned last week, we were dealing with different spiritual disciplines. We talked about prayer for a month. This month, during the month of August, we're talking about fasting. Fasting is simply one of the spiritual disciplines that I have to admit, my wife knows more about fasting than I could even dream of. She's been doing this since she became a believer. But what I can say is that both her and myself and the entire church body here at KBC has seen the power of fasting and what it can do for a person and for the church itself. We're very appreciative that the church has partaken in a couple of fasting events in the short 3 years that I've been on staff. In the Old Testament, the fast was used particularly at different times. It was practiced throughout the nation on the Day of Atonement. Now, the Day of Atonement is the most holiest day in the Jewish religious calendar. The entire nation would come together, they would fast, they would think about what's been going on in their lives, and they'd be praying prayers of repentance for both themselves and for the entire nation throughout this entire feast time. We call it a feast because it was a time that the people came together for a religious purpose. It wasn't a feast because they weren't eating, they were fasting. Our term fast actually comes from a Hebrew word that means to afflict one's soul. And if you've gone without eating for a while, it afflicts one's soul. Think a moment, though, about the Day of Atonement and how that description would have fit the occasion. Here they were offering prayers of repentance for their nation, a time when their souls are in turmoil as they consider their own sins, the sins of their nation. But there's other times throughout the Old Testament when fasting was done on an individual basis. Esther and Mordecai prayed before Esther went off to face the king. There are examples of David fasting at such a time as when his own son was ill. Another time he urged the nation to fast for Saul and for Jonathan also. We're told in Deuteronomy that Moses fasted for 40 days for the afflictions and sins of the people. 40 days that he fasted. So the point is that a fast could be a couple of hours, it could be a day, it could be a week. In Moses' case, it was 40 days. So a fast can last for all different times. The primary purpose of the fast was to create humbleness of one's own soul. Remember the definition: to afflict one's soul. By humbling oneself, it gives us an opportunity to focus on the things of God and upon God's provisions to us, both past and present. It's a time to focus in on who He is, just as they did in the Old Testament time. Whether you abstain from all food and drink or just food, that's up to you and what you're comfortable with. But the idea is to center your thoughts about why you're doing this and to keep in prayer while you're doing it. Is there a pressing issue that you're dealing with right now you don't know what to do about? Consider a time of fasting for it. Seek God out. Let Him know how serious you are. It's an afflicting of your own soul toward God. We hope you enjoy our devotions each week. Please be sure to leave a quick note and let us know how these may have helped you in any way. We appreciate any feedback. Thank you so much and have a great afternoon.